I'm Mike Morgan, one of the wood shop safety monitors, and I want to review with you today the safety procedures we asked you to follow in using our Laguna wide belt sander, which will accommodate boards up to 36 inches in width, but we ask that you use stock that is at least 24 inches long as you feed them through the device. That energized the tool. Laguna sander shut off, so we always want to make sure that when we're done it's off, and we'll have to turn this on before we begin. To start up, turn on the power and then provide compressed air. The compressed air is to oscillate the belt back and forth. So not only does this belt rotate as the wood is passed under it, but it oscillates a little bit, provide for smoother sanding and to keep the sandpaper from loading up quickly with wood dust. Here's an example of a wide belt. This is a 100 grit, which is the grit we usually use on this tool. And we have 2 or 3 of them here as spares so that we can replace the belt as needed. Before we open the access panel, always shut the power off, which I have done. Now you can see the sanding belt installed over the 3 rollers, and it oscillates back and forth when in operation to give you that clean sanding outcome. This machine has an adjustable table which the wood sits on, and one raises and lowers the table to determine the amount of material to be removed by the belt. The table height is controlled by a digital system with a display here, and there's a mystery involved here. The units of the measurement can be either inches or millimeters at your option. Right now we're reading in inches, and we have, as you can see, 3 decimal places. If I hold the set button in for 10 seconds, the display will switch to millimeters, and the only indication you have that we're now reading in millimeters is that there's 1 decimal place instead of 3. So don't be fooled by that. If you see a display when you first turn the machine on that's a single decimal place, that indicates to you that we're reading in millimeters. If you want inches, hold the set button in for 10 seconds and the display will jump back to inches, and we've got 3 decimal places. Now this value is not necessarily accurate until it is calibrated. So here is the calibration procedure. Take your piece of stock and measure its thickness. The thickness is 1.433 inches. The display doesn't agree with that, so we need to calibrate the display properly. To do so, we lower the table, place a corner of our stock on this button, and raise the table until it stops. There's a micro switch on the upper part of this housing here that stops the device when the micro switch is compressed by the wood. We want to set that to 1.43. 1.430. Hold the set button in until the display stops flashing. Now we're calibrated. So the table height is now 1.43 inches, and the display is calibrated to match that. Just like with the planer, stand out of line on one side or the other. I'll stand over here. We'll start the belt. That's the feed belt. And we'll start the sanding belt with this button. You can see that almost all of my pencil mark, here's a little bit remaining, was removed in that pass. To remove more material, reset the height of the bed to the desired final thickness. So if I want to go from 1.40 to 1.35, 1.350, start. Notice that it overshot first, but then returned to my desired value. Now I can run again, and I will have removed 0.05 inches. Whenever the belt is removing material, this indicator here will show the amount of current being drawn by the motor. So the amount of current should never exceed 30 amps. If it gets higher than that, you should stop the machine, lower the table, because you're overloading the system. You're taking off too much with one pass. So that's a good indication of how hard the machine is working. I'm going to set this now to 1.345. Start. And it goes to 1.345. Now I'm ready to begin. Nice and smooth.